Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the Western Bulldogs versus Gold Coast game, which happened on the early Sunday game, in which Western Bulldogs, through Cody Waitman's bag, I think he kicked 6 in the end, ended up running over the Gold Coast Suns, who didn't have Jared Witts. And yeah, so Western Bulldogs, I think, won by about 50 points or so. Yeah, 48 points, 18 goals, 7 to 10 goals, 7, 67. So yeah, 8-goal win. And yeah, they're top players in English, Bont, and I guess Dale Waitman, Joe Hannison really stepped up, and that's the reason why they got the win. But before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So, English 112. And I kind of wish he'd have another sort of lowish game, and now I am going to show this, but I'm looking at this and I know that he's got West Coast next week, so 135, he's going to beat that. So I'm kind of looking at it thinking he's going to go roughly around the same marker of 112. Again, Rowan Marshall only an 86, but he came up against, and he's got Essendon this week, and he came up against Collingwood, so that was a tough game. Essendon should be another tough game for given what Grundy had to go through. So I'm looking at that and thinking he's probably going to score, he's probably going to drop into the 900Ks, and he's probably the perfect guy to go after. Looking at this buy run here, looking at this, and he's got, I think I'm going to go Rowan Marshall here for the Grundy upgrade, because I reckon he's going 144. I reckon he's going to drop a 90, which is probably going to see him drop 40k to 980k, and then he's going to then have Richmond, who he's going to have a 140 again, and he may get 120 and drop another sort of 10k, so he's probably going to drop another 50k to 970. That means it's only a 250k gap to the likes of a Brodie Grundy, who I expect to be, by the time of his bye, be around that sort of what's he now, 720. So I expect Grundy to be around that sort of 760, 770k range by his bye in 2 weeks' time, because he has two pretty simple matchups, which should help him. And so that will help him get to sort of within 200 or so K of the likes of Rowan Marshall. And then that's just a simple upgrade with, at the moment, Campbell is probably not going to get there. If you look at it just quietly, he's getting 45k per round, but his is going to start to, I think, slow up a little bit. So I don't think he will get there. Maybe with a little bit of help, he might get there. But I think that Jeremy Sharp could easily get to that point, or someone else can easily get to that point, in which it'll be an easy upgrade. I did want English, but I don't. I think Marshall will get close to English anyway, and I think Marshall just has a rough start and will really pick up the pace in the second half of this sort of season. Points scoring wise, Bontempelli 104 started off really well, and then really didn't do anything in quarters 2 and 3, and then picked it up in the last. Has a foot complaint, but I don't think it'll be too bad, and then has the easy game against West Coast this week, where he could easily kick 3 and have 30 touches, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes big, and I'm pretty sure I have the VC. I'm going to have the VC on him. Dale, 102, sorry, don't think he's going to have that much relevance throughout this year, just because he's a guy that can drop 70s and stuff like that. Waitman kicked 6, so not really fancy relevant. Joe Hannison, 93, big last quarter, but aside from that, I'm not really looking at him. He's 31, he's already had a couple of, we saw last year how much he burnt us with 2 or 3 soft tissue injuries, so I'm not looking at him. Treloar, 93, this is what I say about pods in the preseason, is that Treloar, that run that he had, it looked like he was going to be a good buy so far, but he hasn't really turned up, and a 93 again puts him at an average of 90, which is well below his price, and he's going to drop now below probably 900k. Oscar Baker, 92, came on early for the injured Caulfield and really started to, kick into gear. Kicked 2 goals in the first term, kicked 3 in general, in total, and obviously is from a 92 from a 67 break even, going to go up, but he looks to be the sub most weeks. Libba 92 didn't do much. Sean Darcy, is it Sam? Sam Darcy, I think it is. Sam Darcy. 88, 55 break even, more of a super coach player, I reckon, rather than a fantasy, just because he's a ruckman and he's a secondary ruck key forward, so there will be games where he drops a 40. Sanders 78 didn't get subbed this week, which was good. He probably was almost planned to be subbed given that Baker was there, but it was the Caulfield injury, which we'll get to, that caused that to not occur. And so yeah, 78 from him, really happy about that, and the cash gen has really started for him. Billy Williams, and then Ed Richards, Bramble, Caleb Daniels 63, so he is just falling through the floor, but we know he doesn't like Mars Stadium, so when he gets back into Victoria, he should be fine. I think he averages something like 40 now at Mars Stadium through like 4 games. Vandermeer, Karmas, Jones, Ugle-Hagan, Gallagher again showing that he really is going to probably be a rookie that rises quite a lot in cash. There's just so many spot fires that I probably will never get him. Norton, West, Poulter and Caulfield. Caulfield just got injured, popped the shoulder, and he'll be out for weeks, so that's not fun. Wish I had done the Caulfield to Massimo trade rather than the Reed to Billings trade now, as that would have fixed up my whole defense sort of. Miller, Rowell, they all did really well, but they're going on the bye this week, so I don't think, obviously they have no relevance, and I wouldn't be trading out any of them, as Rowell seems to be putting up top 8 numbers now, and Miller sort of around the marker again, the same thing. As you can see here, 25, 38, 28. 18 in the last for Miller was a little bit shallow, I guess, and really wanted him to push towards that 120 score to be a knockout score and to really prove his worth pre-buy, as I reckon a lot of people would have just gone Steele over Miller, and you'll gain those points rapidly, as Miller's only going to go at an average of probably 108 through the first 6 games, and 108 through the first 6 is really only going at through the first 7 games, including like a 70 cover score, is really only going at, just over like a 102, whereas Steele, you're going to get sort of that 105, 106, if not more, and that's more valuable over 7 games than Miller, as there was no real price rise out of Miller, to be honest with you. Rowell, Anderson, Collins, Powell, Flanders, 87. Pretty happy that I haven't got him, as he hasn't really gotten away from us. And he'll definitely be a trade-in target posters by potentially when Sean Darcy comes back for Freo and Luke Jackson's scoring starts to really plummet. I will probably trade into Flanders the next week after. But yeah, I'm sort of monitoring that situation and hoping I don't have to cop another injury, as I'm already up to, 2 injuries this year? 2 injury trades? Maybe even 3. It's getting annoying now. I think it's 2 on Fantasy and like 4 on Supercoach now. Lukosius, Moyle, Fiorini, Buderick back to the 60s that we sort of expected him to score, that he's that third distributor. Ballard, Holman, Hewland, Sexton, yep, we got to trade out of him now. He's just on the buy, and I don't reckon you can hold him now that his break even is now, I think, 40 or so. I don't think it's too good. So he showed in preseason that he can score, but I think there's just better options. And for people that can do it, I think if you can make the Sexton to Powell swap, I reckon that's a better trade. And that gets you more points, and Powell could potentially be a top 6 forward. King, Casbolt, Ainsworth, Swallow, Atkins was the sub just because of some injuries, I think, beforehand. Then you had Ellis, Tom Berry as well, 26. I know a lot of people brought him in for Supercoach reasons, and then he did nothing. So I was happy that I didn't do that. And then Long, and then Walter, their new draftee, 17 points. This is why you don't bring guys like Walter in, because they're going to not score well, because he's a key forward, and his stats very much reflected him being too big in junior footy. So that pretty much is the recap done and dusted of the Western Bulldogs Gold Coast game, in which there's no real fancy relevance on the Gold Coast side, because they have the bye coming up and they don't really have a rookie that's firing. And then Western Bulldogs, you got English, Bont, and tracking how English is going for those who have Grundy or Sherry and need to upgrade him. And then also tracking, I guess, that Sanders got the full game, and then how do most of us who have Caulfield get out of him, I guess, now that he's 330k, and that was sort of a dumpster trade, I guess, or dumpster start. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.